If you make a mistake, you will be punished immediately. Short link chain, which you do not get from the hardware store. You get it rig the aerial equipment without needing a rigging point. Aggressive music shouting at me and saying, "Hey Rebecca, go, go, go." Every time when I'm finishing a show, people come to me and they always ask me the same questions about the chain. Does it hurt? How dangerous is it? Why would you do this, perform aerial acrobatics on a steel chain? How is this even possible? I'm trying to answer some of these questions in this video. So the most obvious question is it painful? And the answer is yes, it is painful. I think the main difficulty about aerial chain, and especially the vertical chain, when you rig it like a rope and not like loops, is that it's very, very painful. And that's the reason why not so many people are really doing this. And it's funny because people always expect me to have huge bruises everywhere, but I don't have bruises. It's rather that the chain pinches the skin when you make a mistake, or if you are not careful, it's just like a steel. You can like really get hit by the chain, and that's really, really painful. So you need to be super careful with this. And the chain, it's a really good teacher when it comes to mistakes. If you make a mistake, you will be punished immediately. So when you train, you need to be really careful to progress slowly, to put the chain really on the right places, because it's steel and it weighs a lot. So if you put it on around your joints, it can cause a lot of pressure and pain if you don't put it at the right place. There are ways to protect yourself. I'm using jeans for training always, and I'm using a leggings below. At the beginning, I was also using leather gloves, but it still never become painless. And I think that's the main challenge of the chain, that it's really painful to train, and you have to find a way how to work around the pain, how to keep training even though it's not comfortable at no moment. Every act has its specifics. That's the thing with the chain. Next question I get is, how dangerous is it? It looks super dangerous. And here's the answer: yes, it's dangerous. I made a full video about it, but it's not dangerous the way you might expect. Because our job as circus artists is to make things look dangerous, but never, never, never be in real danger, do something which is really risky for us. That's the reason why we train so much. We don't want to have an accident. So danger, it's a language. It makes people understand, oh, that's hard. It creates a lot of emotion. So it's a drama on the stage, but we never, never, never want to have any real danger in our acts. So it's dangerous, but in another way than you would think. And it has to look dangerous. It's not that dangerous for us. We train to make the tricks look dangerous, not to make them really dangerous. So then, if it's so painful, why am I doing aerial chain and not aerial rope? Because I started with aerial rope, and for a long time I was doing lots of vertical rope. And why am I doing now a discipline which is not even fun to train? So the thing is, I was trying for a long time to be a normal aerialist. I tried to look light in the air, to have beautiful lines, to look elegant, look sexy. It doesn't work. I'm not very good at it. Always when people give me feedback for my act, even if I'm trying to make it elegant and soft, they say, "Oh, you look so strong. Oh, there's so much stage presence, so much storytelling in your act." And I didn't try this just happened. So I thought, okay, that's my weakness, but it can also be the thing which makes me different from other aerialists. And how can I highlight this? Well, if I replace the aerial rope with a chain, then for sure it will highlight these qualities of being powerful on stage, having some unique stage character. I was thinking that I would just be able to do the rope act as it is on a chain, which was super stupid to think. The chain is very different from training if you compare it to the rope, and many rope movements are not possible on the chains, but that was my intention. And I really like how the chain looks on the stage. It's very present. It's an object which everybody has a connection with it, because the chain is like a symbol of freedom, of restriction. Everyone knows how a chain looks like, how it feels when you touch it, how much it weighs. Everyone understands that it's real steel. And it's very simple. It's not that I'm inventing something new. I'm using something very simple, which has already used generations ago by circus artists, and I'm reusing it. I'm not inventing anything new. So I like the storytelling power of the chain. I like how much it's present on the stage. It makes this sound. It's very shiny. And you immediately notice it's a chain, and you can imagine that it feels cold, it feels hard, that it's heavy. So there's something people understand about the act without needing to have anything explained. So then, how did you start doing aerial chain? What is the story of it? My favorite aerial act was always a chain act. It was never a rope act. So I had played in my mind with the idea of doing aerial chain for a long time, but I didn't know how to start it. I was scared that I would not be strong enough, that it would be too painful. So I procrastinated this for some years. But then a friend of mine who is doing aerial chains, Javier Gama, he allowed me to try out things on his chains. And then I knew, okay, I might have some talent for it. It seems to look right. It seems to feel right on my body. And then I went all in. I wrote circus performers who did a vertical chain, which size of chain I needed to buy, because that was really hard to find out. So if you're an aerialist and watching this video, you're lucky. I'm using a size which is 10 millimeters, short link chain, and I'm using an anchor chain or a lifting chain, which you do not get from the hardware store. You get it from a specialized online store, which is selling lifting material or which is selling maritime material. So I got my chain. I noticed that it was much more uncomfortable than I was thinking. I still made an act with it, and luckily the act got booked very fast, because people knew me from the rope and they wanted to see something different. So the chain was, they trusted that I would do some good job because they knew my rope act, but the act was not ready when it got booked. But then immediately I started to work with the chain, and since then I'm specializing more in chain than in rope. I still do sometimes the rope, but my main act is always on the chain. How do you train and how much do you train? How much I'm training depends a lot on where I am in the year, whether I'm preparing for a show, then I'm training more, or whether I just finished a show, then I might take a moment where I take it a bit lighter. So it depends completely on the season of the year. When I was still doing circus school, I was training much more than now, but even now I'm still training at least 5 days a week and at least 2 hours. Most of the time it's more than that. My training is not only on the chain, it's also other aerial disciplines such as rope and straps. And I also train flexibility, movements on the floor, and general strength and conditioning. The thing which I'm training most, it's my act. So I just do my act again and again and again, because I know I have to be able to do it when I'm tired, when I'm feeling a bit sick, when the location is maybe not ideal, when it's a bit cold or too hot. So I really need to have my act perfect so that I can perform it even when the conditions are not the best. Something I also like to train is to do the tricks on the other side. That's great tips for any aerialist who is training on something asymmetrical, such as aerial rope or aerial silks. So just do the tricks on the other side of the body, or do the whole act on the other side of the body. Looks stupid, but helps you so much to keep the muscle balance and not get injured. And to not get injured is now the main focus of my training, because even when I finish my circus career, I want to be feeling great in my body. I mean, why am I doing so much sports during my younger years if after, when I'm older, I have something chronic? I don't want this. So I'm really focusing on slow and steady progress instead of wanting the quick wins, because I'm also thinking about what's going to happen with my body in 20 years, and I want to feel better than the people in my age group in 20 years. When I'm training chain, I usually listen to very loud, heavy metal, aggressive music, because this helps me to get the power and do what I'm having to do. And if I would listen to very soft music or try to feel too much what's happening in my body when I'm on the chain, then it's not going to work, not for this discipline. So I really need some aggressive music shouting at me and saying, "Hey, Rebecca, go, go, go." The music also helps me to not listen too much to the sound of the chain, because the chain is really loud. And I love it on the stage because it gives a really powerful impression, but I don't like the sound when I'm training. But again, even on the rope, I was already listening to hardcore music. I was never listening to something soft for training. So it just might be another proof that my style is just made for the chain. An important question is, how much height do you need to perform this act? So ideally, I have between 6 and 8 meters of height, but I have performed in other places as well. From 4.5 meters on until 12 meters height, there was everything. And I'm really adapting my act to the venue where I am. So even if you see most of my videos are in a circus where the rigging point is around 8 meters high, it doesn't mean that that's the only height I can use for playing. Actually, the act is most difficult when the location is higher, because the tail of the chain is much more heavy. You have to understand my chain weighs 20 kilos. So I have to, if I wrap it around the body and there is lots of tail below, then it's getting really, really heavy for the body to move it, or for the joints to have the chain wrapped around my body. So if it's lower, it's a bit easier for me. I often send out the videos when I'm working in a high location, because I'm proud of that I have achieved it, but it doesn't mean that I can only work in high places. And actually the low places have the advantage that it's very impressive for the people, because they are sitting closer to the chain, so they can really hear the sound. They can kind of feel the object. So when I'm in a low place, I feel that the chain is much more impressive than just a normal aerial rope or silks, because the chain has something more than just the big drops or the height. It's the whole element which is interesting. Where do you perform? So if you look at my YouTube channel, you see most of the videos where I perform. They are in circuses, be it circus tents or also circus buildings. But this doesn't mean that I only perform in circuses. I have also performed in hotels and in attraction parks earlier in my career. And now I'm moving more towards dinner shows in Germany. So dinner shows is when you have a theater and the audience is sitting at tables and they have something to drink, something to eat, and they are watching a circus show, which is a very nice way to spend an evening. Sometimes I also perform outdoors. For this, you need an aerial rig in most cases. An aerial rig is a structure which is out of metal. It works like a tripod, and you can rig the aerial equipment without needing a rigging point. So it's very practical, because it means you can do a show with a spectacular aerial act wherever you want, outdoors, and you can also place the rigs indoors. Any place can become a stage with this aerial rig. I should make a separate video about this freestanding rig, because it's so incredibly useful. Now I have answered some of the most frequent questions I'm getting always about my act. Thank you for watching, and write me if there are any more questions which I haven't answered yet.